I mean, do his Paul's song. He wrote it when he was a teenager. But I know he had the song around in Hamburg even, way before we were songwriters.
I remember first hearing that song on the radio. That was the best buzz of all time. We knew it was going to be on something like 7:30 on Thursday night. It's going to be on Radio Luxembourg. And we all listened in, and there was, wow. From Me to You was really important because that kind of put the stamp on it. We had the first one, which did good. They let us back in the studio. We did the next one, and then we had the album, which did good. And then From Me to You, the next single, because remember, everybody would try to do in those days, make a single that sounded just like the one that was the previous one that was the hit. And we kind of avoided that, but if you notice, it did have the harmonica still on it, which was like a little trademark at that time.
We brought it to George Martin. Hey, George, and we did She Loves You, yeah. And the little 6-type cluster that we got at the end of it. George said, no. We said, why? He said, it's very corny, that end, a 6th. He said, it's like the old days, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, wah. He said, it's very corny. He said, I'd never do it. And we didn't understand. We just said, it's great, George. Such a great sound. He said, it's a 6th. We said, it doesn't matter. It's just great. And we just said, we've got to have it. We stuck out for that, either corny or not. So George would give us these sort of parameters. He'd say, you mustn't double a 3rd, or it's corny to end with a 6th. We said, we like it, man. It's bluesy. Classical people will say, no, you can't do that. So whenever I met that, I'd say, bloody well do it. We were in Paris one time, playing the Olympia in Paris, when back at the hotel, and a telegram came through from Capitol Records of America to Brian. He came running in the room. He said, hey, look, you're #1 in America. Well, just, I mean, I can't describe. We just, hey. We all tried to jump on Big Mal's back, and I remember running around the suite on Big Mal's back. Hey, you know, that was it. Like, we just didn't come down for a week.
Ringo, he was good at coming up with things like that. It was just a slip of the tongue, really. You know, he said it's been a hard day's night, you know, when we'd been doing a gig and driving and doing all that stuff, and he just said it. And we'd all fall around on the floor because Ringo would just say these things quite innocently.
While I was saying one thing, another thing would come in my brain and move down fast. There's actually a saying, there's a word for it, when you get two lines mixed up into one. We had a few of them, you know. Tomorrow Never Knows was mine. You know, God knows where it came from. Hard Day's Night was mine.
Quite often in the early days, John would turn up his guitar as loud as possible, and also everything at full stop. I mean, the knob on his guitar itself would round as far as it would go, and if he got too near the amp, he'd always have howlback, and this quite often ruined some of our good takes. But he loved the sound, and he actually got to the point where he could actually control it, and he used this as an idea to start off the track. And so you hear this feedback, I think it's the first time it was ever done, actually, as an intro to the song.
I defy anybody to find the record unless it's some old blues record in 1922, the first pop record, where I had this electric acoustic guitar and it would feed back, and the little intro which goes is the first feedback. I claim it for the Beatles.
8 days a week. I remember writing that with John out at his place. Chauffeur drove me out this day, and I said, how have you been? You know, just normal conversation. How's things been? He said, oh, working hard. He said, working 8 days a week. And I'd never heard anyone say that expression. So I got to John's house, he dropped me off. I said, hey, this fella just said 8 days a week. He said, right. Ooh, I need your love. We were always looking for titles. Once you've got a good title, someone says, what's your new song? If you can say a title that interests them, you're kind of halfway there. Then, of course, the song's got to be good. But if you say, you know, oh, I'm on my way to a party with you, babe. Oh, okay. They say, but, you know, you sort of say 8 days a week. Or, oh, you know, that's good.
By the time we recorded Ticket to Ride, the Beatles were getting pretty good at studio techniques. It was John's song, so of course he sang lead, and Paul added a backup vocal. Paul played both bass guitar and lead guitar on this one.
While I was writing with John, when we were doing things like Help, I never could have seen that as a cry for help. Because it's two guys, you know, just two guys, young guys together. We was writing, when I was younger, so much younger than today. I'm more interested in going, when I was young, putting a little counterpoint to it, than listening to what he's saying. I mean, looking at his lyrics now, it's like, God in heaven, why didn't someone notice what he was saying, you know? I used to live in this little flat up at the top of a house, in a little room I had, and I had a piano by the bed, and I just woke up one morning with this tune in my head. I thought, I don't know this tune, or do I? It's like an old jazz tune or something, and because my dad used to know a lot of old jazz stuff. Well, maybe I've just remembered it or somewhere. So I sort of went to the piano, found the chords to it. You know, it was like in G, F sharp minor, 7, sort of B and that. And kind of just remembered it, made sure I remembered it. And then I just hawked it round to all my friends and stuff and said, what's this? You know, it's got to be something. It's like a good little tune, you know, and I couldn't have written it because I just dreamed it, you know. You don't get that lucky. It was one of those, you know, it was my most successful. And it's amazing that it just came to me in a dream.
This is a fairly rare, complete collaboration between John and Paul, because by the time 1965 came along, they were writing mostly their own stuff. This time was a productive period for the Beatles. I mean, they worked very hard, they worked very fast, and Day Tripper was completed one Saturday afternoon and evening.
We wrote We Can Work It Out together. Paul's first half, my middle eight. In the early days, once we left Liverpool, we were living in each other's pockets, so we wrote constantly together.
This was released with Day Tripper as a double A side, and We Can Work It Out was recorded soon after Day Tripper, and again was the result of a very close collaboration. And the lyrics show Paul in an optimistic mood, while John offers a more cautious note with his "Life is very short" message. And there's an unusual change in tempo, when in the middle it goes into a waltz.
I remember showing up with the idea for Paperback Writer, because I had a long drive out there, so I'd start writing on my way out, start thinking anyway. And I remember I had the whole idea. That was just one, and often John would have one. But with Paperback Writer, I just had the whole thing. And I virtually came in, had the bowl of cornflakes and said, hey, listen, how about if we write it like a letter? Dear Sir or Madam, and then comma, next line, paragraph, you know, as the case may be, or whatever it was. And I just wrote it all out on a little piece of paper. And John just sort of sat there and sort of, that's good. And with that one, that just kind of flowed, and I sort of wrote that. I was lying in bed